I think I finally have a name for Mark Carney. I've seen people give him the mimetic name of Commie Carney, Creepy Carney, which initially I like. But the other one that I thought of prior to making this video would be Comrade Carney. I think I'm going to stick with my choice, Comrade Carney. Now, I saw this floating on the Twitterverse the other day. Bill Blair is endorsing Comrade Carney. At this point, folks, I think it's very clear that we should just be renaming this fucking party. We should just name it to the CCP, the Canadian Communist Party. Never mind the Communist Party of Canada. Their website is their aesthetics are kind of stuck in the 2000s, but at least they have some commitment to it. But the Canadian Communist Party, that sounds about right. You would have to be that stupid as of now to be voting for these guys. Doesn't make much of a difference. The policies don't change. The face just changes. The bullshit still remains the same. That's why the saying goes, same shit, different ass. So yeah. Comrade Carney reminds me of Ignatieff. During 2011, when the orange wave, the orange crush fucking happened, Iggy was nowhere to be seen for a few years, suddenly gives a fuck about Canada, wants to run as Prime Minister of Canada, but has a dual citizenship. He's entitled to his entitlements, folks. He's one of those guys, I would think. But that was a major red flag for me. No pun intended, really. A red flag as to why I was not voting for them. And I didn't vote for the NDP at the time either because it was popular. As we saw, they got fucking dismantled. Like, the libtards and the bloc got dismantled. So a lot of people, even my age at the time, were voting for the new socialists of the new town. Anyways, but that was like a short-lived situation. The bloc had like 3 seats at the time. Everybody thought that they were done. No, never underestimate the power of stupid. But what are we talking about? Comrade Carney is playing politics. He's playing politics with something that even the cartoon con has to do as well when it comes to persuading the French, getting the Quebec vote. On a provincial level, it's a little bit easier to kind of predict the voting patterns. Kind of easy. Not always, but kind of. When it comes to the federal, though, the federal mandate, I've always stated that this aspect of Canadian politics is a bit of a wild card. It's like a purple state, if you will. It flip-flops. It's a flip state, or a flip province. Because one minute it could go completely orange. The next minute it go back to the bloc. Doesn't get too much strides when it comes to conservative, though. At least the federal conservatives. But yet, even here too, on a provincial level, Quebecers are not necessarily going to vote for the Conservative Party of Quebec, but people think that Legault and the CAQ, these language Nazis, or flip-floppers, are conservative, when really they're all just fucking bullshit. They're all torn from the same cloth, and it's, again, same shit, different ass. And the usual topic of conversation has to do with pandering to the French. What do? French is on the decline, as Comrade Carney stated the other day, as I made a post about it the other day. Again, folks, you can't quantify the reality of this, but as per usual, there's always nuances when it comes to stuff like this, okay? He is doing the whole fear-mongering thing. He has to do that. The cartoon con also has to fucking do that. This is unfortunately Canadian politics at the moment. It's a hockey team mentality. They have to play this game, otherwise, what's the point of playing the fucking game? I mean, you're in it to win it. That's how you have to think of it as. At least in that regard. French is not on the decline. Because there are nuances. Now, it appears to be, just like it appears that these guys, the federal libtards, are liberal, but they're commies. They care about Canadians. No, they ain't. A guy who was born with a silver platter under his ass is not going to be able to understand the common folk that we are experiencing. All the shit that we experience. So he wouldn't know. So what the fuck does this banker with Malacca know about the common folk? Our concerns and questions? Soon to be avoided, really. At all. But what he does know is he has to play the game. How is he playing the game? As per usual, pandering to buy the vote, by fear-mongering and spreading mis and disinformation. The Quebec language is not on decline. Well, yes and no. Again, there's nuance here. Because whenever we talk about this, there's always a lack of just that. It's just a lack of nuance here. Okay. What people don't take into account is if you're going to be doing a long-term study over the course of a little over a decade, yes, you might see a drop in the usage of French. But again, we're not talking the French went down 13% in 1 year, or 2, or 3, or even 5. This was a course over a decade. And I am of the opinion that, yes, demographics does have an effect on the destiny. The problem is, if we want to play identity politics for a second and say that French people are racist, one word for you. Haitians. That's right. Haitians. Haitians have been around for a while, prior to me being born. They speak their own language that has a French influence. Are we counting that too? Are we counting Creole? Because where I work, Haitians. If you guys have gone down to Montreal North and where Little Italy is, some parts of it, Haitians. So people want to keep saying that Kbecers are racist. Why are the Haitians here? I don't know. But again, nuance. So you're not taking into account where you're doing these studies. What makes up some of these fucking studies? Well, let's see. If you're taking places where it's heavily populated, like Montreal, like Longueuil, like Quebec City, like Laval, whatever, that are booming urban cities, you are going to get mixed languages. Yeah. You also have to count the demographics too. And public sector versus the private sector. These things actually do fucking matter. And it is also possible that you're living on close to the border, let's say Hemmingford or the Lacal border, well, or even Roxham Road at this point. Let's say you're living there. You live amongst French people, but you work in the United States. You don't think for one fucking second that there's going to be like, when you're interacting with these people, there's not going to be some reciprocation, learning French, learning English, hell, even learning Spanish if that's what you want. These things do matter. They do. But let me get a little existential here. What I find to be really hilarious, and people usually don't bring this up, but it is a point of contention that I think it should be made. French is the official language. Then why are all of these premiers, whether it is PQ, DACAC, or the libtards, let's get outside of Quebec for a second. The Bloc. Why is their English fucking decent? Methinks that there's something a little bit odd with the situation. It's a little bit odd, though. Let's go a step further. I think the rest of Canada will not like this, but it's the reality. How many prime ministers has Canada had thus far that came from the same province that wants to separate? How many? Not even a dozen? I don't know the exact number, but there's a number there. You see, folks, there's something that has to... We have to go beyond this whole thing. But let me get also philosophical here, because Canadians do not understand what it is that this channel's philosophy is about. Okay? Language falls under free speech and freedom of expression. I know, right? It falls under that. So you could live and preach and chest beat all you want. Vive le Québec libre. Okay? You could do that all you want. What good is your so-called country if you put so much emphasis on language while ignoring the very foundation that allows you to speak in the dimension of it? What is the point? You need liberty. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you guys have not learned that by now, then continue to be ignorant, or if you don't give a shit, listen, you guys will live your life as you see fit. I am not here to save you. I'm not even interested in lecturing you. This is an important thing and a message that Kbecers have to fucking get. There's nothing libertarian or liberty-minded or vive le Québec libre when you have the OQLF. There's nothing liberty-loving about that. There's also nothing liberty-loving about having these secret agents that are getting paid with your tax money, mind you, to go to these, whether it's, I guess, big box stores or private businesses, to get boots on the ground data of who's talking more English than French, or less French, more, whatever the case is, having to be undercover like this. If we love freedom so much and you want to manifest your own destiny, why is that even needed? What is the point? How is that not fucking creepy? Like the losers that were snitching on you during the pandemic. That's not any different. Why? Because it's your neighbors, they're immune? No. You could even have a neighbor who's a secret language Nazi and they're spying on your own business and reporting it back to the state. How is that anything? It's not. Because you guys do not understand the concept of private property. Quebec is the only province that still has the long gun registry. Canada, you got to give them credit for that. Quebec doesn't like that. Quebec doesn't like freedom. You guys don't like it. I don't know if you guys will ever surpass this thought form that you put so much energy into. But in terms of French being on the decline, the world does not revolve around French, my friends. You chose to be language Nazis. It's a choice. You chose to do that. And we chose, well, If you guys want to learn multiple languages, good for you. If you don't want to learn, well, then that's still a fucking choice. But in my situation, in my case, I was forced to know both languages. I don't know my Italian, but I know more Greek than I know my own fucking language. Isn't that fucking hilarious? Well, it's my parents' fault, really. To a point. But French being on the decline, it's not so black and white. You could quantify it. I mean, it will make sense if, let's say, you're out in Quebec City and you're talking primarily French in the National Assembly, when you're compelling people, when you're dealing with the state to speak in French, you're not necessarily helping out your cause. Now, if you're going to be a tourist and you need the fucking money, let's squash the Anglicism, and you're making money off of the tourists that come from different parts that might be English speakers. Funny how that works now, doesn't it? Nobody will mention that to you, but I will. There's more to life than just that, and this whole fear-mongering, it's not helping. No, it's not. At a certain point, we gotta, wash our hands of this bullshit and all that. It's not good for you. If you guys love liberty, if you guys truly want to vive the Quebec libre, you don't need these things. You don't need it. But we'll never know if we'll ever have that opportunity or to seize it, but because Kbecers will vote for language Nazis, and sometimes against their own interests, that will negatively affect them. I mean, it's great that you guys want to put a cap on how many students are going to Anglophone colleges, okay? But what if your family members who are French want to learn English because they see an opportunity? Okay, it may be too much logic here. Maybe I'm showing too much of my masculine energy here by thinking critically of the situation. I should just get back to being overly emotional right now over the topic. I should be crying my ass off right now. Oh, boo-hoo, tear type of thing. Anyways, Mark Carney. Sorry, gotta get used to Comrade Carney. That guy is just astroturfing and fear-mongering his way to buying the vote of the Kbecers. It's not gonna work, dude, bro. But if it does, you're a piece of shit, and so are these fucking Kbecers. That's it. Peace out.